Hey guys, welcome back to Cereal at Midnight. It's time once again for our monthly look at Kino Lorber and everything from Kino Lorber and their partner labels for the month of August 2023. I want to thank Kino Lorber. I want to thank you guys. Listen, together we've made Cereal at Midnight one of the leading destinations for Kino Lorber coverage, and I'm really grateful for that because they're putting out things, the kind of movies that I want to talk about. I've covered hundreds upon hundreds, probably thousands of Kino Lorber releases over the years, and I love what they're doing. This video is one of my biggest joys every single month. So let's kick it off with two new 4Ks. We've got 3 Days of the Condor and Staying Alive on 4K. Start with 3 Days of the Condor. Listen, I'm going to keep my coverage of these, I'm not going to review every one of these movies. Some of them I haven't seen, so I can't review, but I'm going to just say a little bit about some of these. 3 Days of the Condor comes from the mid-70s cycle of basically paranoid espionage thrillers. They're often based on books. We're coming out of Watergate. We're coming out of Vietnam. And there's just no trust in the system. And so there's this whole cycle of movies in which basically the message is they're out to get you. They, whoever they is, if it's the government, if it's the shadow institutions that run the government, they're out to get you. Do not mess with the status quo or you will be eliminated. So we got Robert Redford, Faye Dunaway, Cliff Robertson, Max von Sydow. This is one of the better ones of the site. It was one of the more famous ones. A lot of them are really good. This is a brand new HDR Dolby Vision Master from a 4K scan of the original 35mm original camera negative. That is what we want. We want original camera negative scans, 4K. I like the addition of HDR. Somebody took me to task recently. They said, oh, this didn't have HDR and you liked it anyway. HDR can cut both ways. I've seen HDR additions. It's a tool, right? So it is a tool that needs to be used judiciously and responsibly. It's not always. I really like this Staying Alive. I like what I'm seeing here as far as the scans with original camera negatives. There is no alternate artwork here. I wanted to point that out. When there is reversible art sleeves, I flipped them around so you'll see them. We got a nice collection of special features here. I'm not going to read all this to you. I want you to freeze this if you want to read all of that. Staying Alive is a movie that, it's the sequel to Saturday Night Fever, which is a movie that doesn't need a sequel. It ends where it needs to end. It stops telling the story. Just like, I don't need it. It's maybe better left in the imagination. However, one of the things that happens with movie fandom, maybe all areas of fandom, but I really notice it especially with movies, is like we reassess things after a while. This is a movie that has not been universally loved. It's sort of like a, that's kind of the consensus on this movie. It's like, But when we reassess things through modern eyes and we look back, now I look at this, not necessarily from a story perspective, but from the career of Travolta at the time. This is 1983. It takes place 5 years after Saturday Night Fever. If you remember Saturday Night Fever, and I'm sure you do, he just wants to dance. Dancing is his escape. Like, we can joke, I think that's part of it. It's like people think about Saturday Night Fever and they're like, oh, the soundtrack and the Bee Gees, and it's just such a great time. It's a dark movie, you guys. It's about a guy whose only outlet from his life is dancing. So this is the extension of that, is he's trying to become a dancer on Broadway because he's in New York. That's where would you go if you're a dancer? And interesting from like a craft perspective because it's co-written and directed by Sylvester Stallone. So already like the Stallone completist in me is like, oh, wait a minute. This is like Rocky 3 era, like First Blood Part 2. We're getting up on that. 1983. And so Travolta is in the best shape of his entire life in this movie. I assume it's the Stallone diet for the Rocky 3 when he's just like chill. He's like, I think I read somewhere during that time, First Blood Part 2, Rocky 3, he was like 150 pounds and it was just all muscle. That's what Travolta looks like in this movie. There's kind of a shot here. But listen, we got new Bee Gees songs, like 5 new Bee Gees songs. The score is by Frank Stallone, Sylvester Stallone's brother. There's interesting things here for reassessment, and these 4Ks. This is a lot of people tell me they only watch 4Ks. I don't know why. I don't understand that. I don't understand why anybody watching my videos would only watch 4K, but people tell me that's what they do. So this is going to be an opportunity for those 4K. I would call them elitists, but that's ironic, right? Because they're actually missing everything. This is an opportunity for those people to see this movie and to not have the baggage of the last 30 years associated with it, and to just see it, it's 40 years now, to see it for what it is and be like, oh man, this is a Stallone cameo in here. There's a lot of really interesting things here. We've got new commentary, and again, original camera negative, so that's great for video and audio quality. Audie Murphy Collection 2, I'm going to be honest with you guys, this is my favorite thing in the whole wave because I love Audie Murphy, I love Westerns, especially from this era. I could spend, and I'll pull back the curtain, so this is like the 9th take of this video. I went so long on this, and it turned into kind of a rant, because I covered a spaghetti western box set from Arrow recently, and I was like, spaghetti westerns are great. I love spaghetti westerns. They are a gateway genre to the western. They're not like pure western. Spaghetti western is style over substance. They rarely have intricate plots. Sometimes they do. You can find good examples. You can easily come up with 5 to 10 great spaghetti westerns. But their style, it's an opera, right? It's visual storytelling. It's music storytelling. It's not usually known for like depth of character, for any sort of nuance, like character arcs and stuff. That's not what they're after. They are imitating the 50s westerns. Spaghetti westerns are chasing American westerns like this. And over the last 10 years or so, I'm already spending too long on this. Over the last 10 years or so, I have fallen in love with the American western from the 50s, because that's when it's the same thing that happened with film noir. Coming out of World War II, you got all these soldiers who saw combat, who did horrible things that they never would have imagined they were capable of in combat. They saw death. They looked evil in the face. It ends up in the art. There's something uniquely American about these westerns, and Audie Murphy is the crowning jewel because he was the most decorated soldier in the history of the U.S. military. The most decorated soldier in the history of the U.S. military. The entire U.S. military. He was a war hero, but he had seen and done so much. And it ends up in the movies. I mean, you really see, like, he is such a small guy, but he's got the goods. And we've never had I can't think, there have been a lot of heroes, a lot of actors and performers that saw combat. Audie Murphy is like the biggest combat hero that ever ended up on screen. Listen, these are great movies. Some of them are better than others. We got Sierra from 1950 with audio commentary by Toby Rohn. Looks great on Blu-ray. We have Kansas Raiders, which is my favorite of this entire 3-pack, with an audio commentary by C. Courtney Joyner and film historian Henry Park. They do great Western commentaries. Just commentaries in general, but they really know their Westerns. And Destry, which is it's sort of a remake of Destry Rides Again, which is based on a story that pre-existed, and it's the director of Destry Rides Again doing it again like another generation later. I don't love it. I like it. I don't love it. But Kansas Raiders is incredible. And listen, I've talked too much about these already. Some of you guys are like, no, keep talking. Maybe I should just go with my gut. Just go with my instincts. I will say this. I have more to say about Audie Murphy. And luckily, that's Collection 2. So we had a Collection 1, a Collection 2. Collection 3 is on its way. Like any day now, we're going to be talking about Collection 3. And in the last year, where I'm looking for, you guys see that? Audie Murphy Collection. Like, we are being blessed with so many of these classic movies getting, and it's not, not always Blu-ray, but just being able to see them. It's happening right now. So it's a great time to be a fan of this stuff. Force of Evil, John Garfield, talking about noir, talking about coming out of World War II. Here's a 1948 movie that is, they call this gritty and quintessential film noir is drenched in greed, cynicism, and corruption of the soul as embodied by John Garfield. That's a great way to put it, because there's something that's happening in these movies that is so unique to this time frame. And like neo-noir doesn't have it. I love neo-noir, I love dark modern movies, but they don't have the... Mike Malloy said it. When I talked to Mike Malloy, he was like, the actors, and he was talking about 70s cinema, but it translates to film noir too. He's like, these people that made the movies, that wrote the movies, that starred in the movies, had seen combat. They had seen firsthand. They'd lived it. We're now a few generations from that. Most of our actors don't have that experience. But these guys did, and you can tell. I mean, there's just a lot of, even if it's not the actor, if it's the screen, like the writer, the screenwriter, good stuff. This has an introduction by Martin Scorsese, so it's not just me. Audio commentary by film historian Imogen Sarah Smith, who is like the Mount Rushmore of noir commentators. And it's a new 2022 4K restoration by Paramount Pictures, done in conjunction with the UCLA Film Foundation. Funding provided by the Hobbs and Lucas Family Foundation. I would love to see this on 4K. I hope that we get that. Guess what? Boom! Alternate artwork. This is gorgeous, right? Oh, do you see how excited I get about Audie Murphy and about film noir? These are my genres. These are the things that, like, this is why I love movies. This is where I'm at right now. And where you're at in your movie journey changes, because hopefully, it always bums me out when someone's like, I don't change my opinion. If I don't like something, I will never like it. Like, well, you're not growing. We should be, like, as I get older, my perspective on things changes, because, like, when I'm 20, I'm looking at it from this, I don't have the experience. When I'm 30, I still have more experience. I'm like, wait a minute, there's something here. Now I'm in my 40s, and I'm like, oh, when I'm in my 50s, who knows, guys? Burt Reynolds, Malone. We're having a moment with Burt Reynolds too, because so many of his movies are getting released from just worldwide, not just in the U.S. but worldwide. This is not much to say here. This is from Burt's 80s era stuff, where he's really doing, like, I guess the goal was to sort of do a, like, leading man, straight guy. They reference Stick on the back of the box. Stick is a great movie. Stick has a stunt. We always talk about it. People that love Stick. There's a stunt. There's a balcony stunt in Stick that you have to see to believe. And you're like the stuntman invented this method for the stunt. But this era of Burt Reynolds is like, it's hardcore action. Like, it's really good action. Hardcore, interesting choice of words. It's like Burt Reynolds is the thinking man's leading man action star, which is ironic in some ways, because he was, I mean, there's Deliverance, right? But then, like, he was so popular as Smokey and the Bandit, and then as that, like, lovable, that guy, and then he just becomes, like, sort of a very serious, gritty, Eastwood-esque leading man. Hardcore, not a comfortable watch. This is George C. Scott. Basically, he discovers his daughter. It's like an investigation into his daughter realizing that she's involved in adult cinema, which is, I guess, every father's worst nightmare, or one of them. I guess that it could be worse, but like Taken, Taken's probably a little bit worse, but not fun. But like, this is a movie. There's some of these movies that inspire cringe. Like, they're not comfortable watches for me. They make me feel like I need to go take a bath. But this is, like, it's written. It's Paul Schrader, written and directed by Paul Schrader, who is the writer. It's a Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, and those are more movies that make you feel like you need to go take a shower. But listen, it's good. It's well acted. It's 1979, which is like they're digging into the depravity of the adult film industry in 1979. I wonder what's changed. I wonder, because that's the better part of 50 years. Like, what's changed since then? But it's got a nice supplement package, and I think this had alternate artwork. Yep. So there's no restoration notes here, but some of these movies I think were honestly, and I say this to those 4K only people who are like, why is it hardcore on 4K? We're lucky that this has a Blu-ray, because we're lucky. It's obvious, right? We're lucky that some of this stuff's getting a Blu-ray. It's Paris Burning. It's actually one of two World War II movies that we're going to talk about here. It's Paris Burning is it's a huge, like, global production. they list all the people, boast an international cast of screen legends. I don't want to read all these to you guys. I'll hold this up. I mean, it just goes on and on and on with international film stars. And again, we're talking about heavy subject matter that's being dealt with in a intelligent way. Listen, Francis Ford Coppola is he's a co-writer. I'm trying to remember if he produced or not. Let's see. digitally restored from a 4K scan of the 35mm original camera negative, provided by Paramount Pictures in association with American Zoetrope and Francis Ford Coppola. I'm looking for Coppola's involvement. Screenplay by Gore Vidal and Francis Ford Coppola. I don't see him in the producers, but anyway. It's 1966, too, so this is around... If you only know Coppola from The Godfather forward, go back and check out his earlier... I like his earlier stuff. Here's a bold statement. I like his earlier stuff more than I like The Godfather and like Apocalypse Now and stuff like that. He was one of the new Hollywood filmmakers, and his earlier work is... really human. And he's not playing in that mainstream cinema stage. You know, he was a contemporary of George Lucas and of De Palma, and you know, they were making movies that really spoke to their generation. You're a Big Boy Now. Go check that one out. Anyway, The Day and the Hour. This is another international. It's Gaumont, but of course, Stuart Whitman is not French. I have not seen this, so I'm going to limit what I have to say about it, but I do notice that it has a commentary by Sam Deegan, who does great commentary work as well, and I'm looking forward to checking this out. One of the barriers to something like this is that it's almost 3 hours. This is less than 2, so that's probably going to mean that gets bumped up a little bit higher just because of the availability of the lack of availability of time. 3 into 2 won't go. This is a interesting. It's another cringy. I don't mean cringy like the movie's terrible. It's just really uncomfortable subject matter. So it's Rod Steiger, Claire Bloom, middle-aged couple, and Rod Steiger has an affair with Judy Geeson, who's young. I think she's 19, and she wants to move in with him, and then it's played for, like, this just makes me all kinds of uncomfortable, because that's just one of those movies that they're exploring at the time. What is this, 1969? So this is, you know, during the sexual revolution and coming out of everything that was happening in the counterculture movement, looking at subjects like this, which it wasn't new. It's kind of things not. Look at what was going on with the Wonder Woman creator back in the 30s and the 40s, and his open relationship, and like they're all living in the same house. Like, it's not new, but we could talk about it in movies at this point. So we got a new commentary by Troy Howarth and Nathaniel Thompson. Brand new 2K restoration. Outrage, an amazing movie. Ida Lupino. She directed it, I know. Did she write it? Written for the screen. She co-wrote it with a couple of other people. And it's about rape. And it's a 1950 movie. Again, not a comfortable watch, but an important movie. And one of the very first movies, arguably the first movie to really tackle this subject matter with the level of attention that it does, and the focus, and really like the realism and the dismissal, and like, nothing happened, and what are you talking about? It's really interesting, and it's a great movie. And Ida Lupino is the best. She's fantastic. A lot of us love her, and she would go on to direct TV. I mean, she's just one of our greats. This is a 4K scan of the 35mm film, fine grain, restored in HD by Paramount. And this is our last from the Studio Classics line. This is Strangers in the House, which is this is a French film noir from 1942. I'm not going to read all of this to you guys. I haven't watched it, and I don't want to present myself as knowing more about it than I do. All right, we're going to get into some indie cinema now. This has become the thing that has become it's like the most discovery. I get so much discovery out of this. Scarlet, a film by Pietro Marcello. This is it's his follow-up to Martin Eden, which was a critical darling. This looks really good. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but they basically say, like, it takes place after World War I, and tracing Juliet's journey through the 20 years of great invention between the world wars, Scarlet delicately weaves together music and fantasy, history and folklore, realist drama and ethereal romance to craft the timeless story of a young woman's emancipation. That sounds interesting. You know, it's the kind of movies that, where does this originate? It's kind of movies American studios won't touch anymore. Maybe if you do it for a really small budget. This is the Milestone Cinematheque, The Spanish Dancer. Now, I've never seen this, or I have yet to see this. Do we think that the Spanish dancer, as portrayed by Antonio Moreno, was the visual inspiration for Inigo Montoya from The Princess Bride? Because I do. That seems pretty close to me. And I often know now that these directors and the writers and all these people would dig into cinema history and just borrow, like, oh, I'm taking this from this. I'm basing my performance here, you know. It's interesting stuff. So the Spanish dancer, Pola Negri. This is what is the year on this? 1923 bonus. It's got a new score, a new orchestral score. They got to interview the composer. It's got an audio commentary. Another silent double feature. Excuse me. This is interesting, guys. This is from the Ernest Lubitsch collection, F.W. Murnau collection. This is two movies that deal with, now they're silent movies, 1918 and 1919. I Don't Want to Be a Man is from Germany, 1918, and it's about a woman who dresses up as a man and just goes about her life as a man. So that, I don't need to delve into that, right? But my point is, the conversations we're having now, we were having 100 years ago. Now, maybe the production code kind of cracked down on some of that, but nothing is new. That's the lesson that history teaches, that cinema and cinema history teaches us, is that nothing is new. We've been having these conversations for a long time. The Doll is from 1919, and it's about a guy who, again, haven't watched it, but the premise of this, an effete young man must wed in order to inherit a fortune, so he opts to purchase a remarkably lifelike doll and marry it instead, not realizing the doll is actually the puppet maker's flesh and blood daughter in disguise. I'm just going to let that sit for a second. This is interesting stuff. This is 1918 and 1919. Audio commentary for both films by Joseph McBride, the author of the critical study, How Did Lubitsch Do It? It's great. This looks fantastic. Last and First Man, a film by Johan Johansson, narrated by Tilda Swinton. Johan Johansson was the late composer and musician, Sicario, Arrival, Mandy. Okay, this is I believe this is his only, a stunning feature debut and final cinematic testament from the late composer. So he made this movie. It's his only movie as a director, 71 minutes long, and he's based on the cult 1930 science fiction novel by British author Olaf Stapleton, with narration by Tilda Swinton. It's a poetic, hopeful, and tragic work, an allegory of remembrance, ideals, and the death of utopia. Look at this. Tell me this doesn't look like some 1923 German expressionist film. Like, Cabinet of Caligari, the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, or some other, Metropolis, something like that. It is so stark. And I'm really looking forward to discovering this. So this is the kind of thing that some of you guys have said, like, why do you talk about this other stuff? Because one, people are interested in it. Two, I'm interested in it because this is not on my radar. And one of the reasons I do these videos is to put things on your radar that aren't on it already. Because we don't want to just patronize you and well, here's what we love. It's also about challenging ourselves and getting outside of our comfort zone and discovering and growing, and that's the name of the game. The Melt Goes On Forever, The Art and Times of David Hammons. This is about the American artist. Started in Watts era, 60s LA, to become a global prominence today. These things surprise me. I watched the one, I can't remember the name of it. The Moon is the oldest television. What was the name of that? Anyway, when they start profiling artists, I'm usually not super familiar with them, but learning, these are vital. These documentaries are so interesting to me, and I don't know. This is an opportunity for me to discover something that I think I'm really going to enjoy. Here is a movie, Two Tickets to Greece. This is a French film. Basically, it's a girls' trip movie with Kristen Scott Thomas. Basically, these friends go to Greece. This is another cringy. It's a movie that's not a comfortable watch. Madeline Collins. This is a French movie where this woman has two lives in two different locations, and they start to collapse. And that just makes me nervous. That just makes you're. Anytime these movies about subterfuge and about lying to people, it's gonna fall down, and when it does, it just makes me feel, I don't know, I can't describe it, but you know what, it's that feeling that oh no, don't do it. It's anxiety is what it is. Paragold. This is a documentary about four how do they describe it? It's basically four people who are competing in the Paralympics in the equestrian horseback riding in the Paralympic Games in Tokyo 2020. Did I hold up the back of this for you guys? I don't remember. So let me hold up the back of Madeline Collins for you guys. And listen, this is the last thing. I saved this for last because I was like, oh, Brightwood, a film by Dane Elcar. It's an American film for 2022. It's about these people. The marriage of Jen and Dan has seen better times. While out on a jog, the couple soon find themselves lost as the hiking trail turns into an endless loop with no exit, and all the while a silent killer is tracking them down. Sounds interesting. It sounds really interesting. It's the Otherworld Austin selection 2022. Another Hole. What is this official selection? Another Hole. Something the head. Official selection Panic Fest 2023. Popcorn Frights Film Festival. This is from Cinephobia. That sounds really great, guys. And it's DVD. And I know there are people out there who like DVD. Well, this is not something that... This is an unknown, right? It costs money to press something on Blu-ray. It costs money to press something on 4K. DVD is the best we're going to get for a lot of this stuff. And you can complain about it. And you can shake your fist at the sky. But the money is what talks. And if there's profit to be made, we'll get the best format that we can get. But these releases represent something of a risk. No company wants to risk without knowing they're going to get money back in return. So for a lot of this stuff, DVD is the last stop. And it will live on streaming. It will live on video on demand. And I'm just grateful that there's a company like Kino Lorber and Cinephobia in that case who are willing to step up and release it to disc for guys like us who want to have it, collectors like us who want to have it in our collections for posterity. Guys, we covered a lot of ground. What have you seen? Let's talk about the movies in the comments below. These are never meant to just be one-sided conversations where I just talk at you. I want to talk with you. I want to weigh in. And I love when you guys talk to yourselves too. I love it when conversations break out and I see you guys helping each other. Because fandom, one of the things that kind of can be discouraging sometimes is the gates that people put up in fandom. And you haven't seen so-and-so? What are you doing? You know, you haven't seen 3 Days of the Condor? Just go kill yourself. Nobody's ever said anything like that in the comments of my videos. But I do see these closed off walls sometimes. And I love it when I see like fans helping other fans. Like, oh, you check out, you know, like we could talk about the 70s Cold War paranoia movies. We could talk about the Parallax View. You know, we could talk about... you probably even the Marathon Man. I was trying to think Dustin Hoffman's Is It Safe? You know, there's so many of these movies we could talk about, and we haven't seen them all. So let's share that. You know, let's open the door to further conversation. I like these videos to feel like hanging out at the video store. Talking about, you know, have you seen so-and-so, getting recommendations, getting picks, things like that. The video store doesn't really exist anymore for most of us, but this has become that place now. And too often that place is just used as like, I bought this, and I bought this, and I bought this. It's like collectors showing off their collections. But when it can become more than that, that's something really special. So thank you guys. I appreciate you. I appreciate Kino Lorber. Let's continue the conversation about the movies in the comments below. Till next time, I will catch you later.